Myrmecologists, also known as anthologists, have uncovered a perplexing phenomenon wherein thriving young anthills inexplicably perish within a few months. Extensive research has revealed that the primary culprit behind these mysterious collapses is a parasitic beetle called Lomechusa, along with the secretion it produces. This substance has been identified to have a narcotic impact on worker ants, contributing to the demise of otherwise healthy ant colonies. The phenomenon of anthill infection by Lomechusa was vividly documented by the French biologist, Professor Rémy Chauvin, 1913–2009, in his book Les Sociétés Animales, de la Bile au Gorille, Paris, 1963. Animal communities, from the bee to the gorilla. Here is an excerpt from his description. Ants, along with termites, but not bees, maintain a colony of darmoids within their nests, displaying a range of emotions from overt hostility to complete indifference or intense interest. It is in the latter scenario that disaster befalls, at least for the ants. A compelling illustration is the relationship between ants and Lomechusa bugs, diminutive beetles with a name that carries an ominous undertone. Upon infiltrating an anthill, Lomechusa sees the opportunity to consume a worker ant hidden in some corner of the gallery. They deposit their eggs within the pouches of ant brood, thereby causing unsuspecting ants to nurture the offspring of another species. The voracious appetite of the beetle larva leads it to consume its ant hosts. When the chance arises, it also devours ant larvae. Remarkably, the ant colony tolerates them, as Lomechusa always stands ready to raise its hind legs and release trichomes, damp hairs that the ant eagerly licks. In doing so, the ant unwittingly imbibes its own demise. Growing accustomed to the secretions of the trichomes, worker ants inadvertently condemn both themselves and their anthill to destruction. They forget the intricately organized mechanisms of their existence and the multitude of vital tasks at hand. For them, there is nothing but the cursed trichomes, compelling them to forsake their duties and embrace death. Soon, they become incapacitated, unable to navigate through their subterranean galleries. Their undernourished larvae metamorphose into distorted ants. With time, the nest weakens and fades away. Meanwhile, Lomechusa bugs venture to neighboring anthills for fresh victims. The term myrmecology was coined by the American entomologist William Wheeler, English William Morton Wheeler, 1865–1937. He approached the study of ants from the perspective of social organization and, in 1910, delivered a lecture titled Ant Colony as an Organism, where he introduced the groundbreaking concept of a superorganism. This notion of social organisms found further development in the field of biosociology, also known as sociobiology, a theoretical framework for understanding social life based on the evolutionary principles of organic nature. Biosociology emerged through the influential works of Harvard University professor Edward Osborne Wilson, particularly Sociobiology, A New Synthesis 1975, and On Human Nature 1978. Wilson posited that every aspect of human existence, including morality, culture, and social institutions, must align with our biological nature, as biological evolution underpins and accompanies social and cultural evolution. Edward Wilson defines sociobiology as the extension of the principles of population biology and evolutionary theory to social organization. Within this defined scope, Wilson formulates two key postulates. The first postulate asserts that while humans are not mere biological machines, they possess biological mechanisms that prevent the pursuit of goals and social actions conflicting with their inherent biological nature. The second postulate highlights that the unique characteristics of human nature represent only a fraction of the broader spectrum observed in other species. Many stereotypical forms of human behavior are shared with other living creatures, and in certain aspects, such as cooperation, division of labor, and altruistic behavior, humans may even lag behind insect communities. Biosociology faced resistance from liberal intellectuals in the West and Marxist and socialist countries. Nevertheless, it has solidified its standing as a scientific discipline today and has spawned new avenues of research, such as biopolitics. The accomplishments of myrmecology and sociobiology draw striking parallels between the existence of an anthill and the dynamics within human communities, substantiating these connections scientifically. In 2003, the Moscow newspaper Izvestia featured a series of articles by its special correspondent Dmitry Sokolov-Mitrich and Tetyana Pudyatina, a graduate student from the Faculty of Biosciences at Moscow State University. The articles highlighted a clear analogy between the life of an anthill affected by Lomechusa and a society grappling with social parasites promoting substance abuse, alcoholism, and other toxins. Prompted by this analogy, the authors posed a crucial question. Could the knowledge derived from myrmecology be applied to rescue such a society? To explore this, an experiment was initiated to save an anthill infected with Lomechusa. The experimental anthill is situated within the Myrmecological Reserve Pyeshki in the Moscow region, overseen by Dr. Anatoly Oleksandrovich Zakharov, a world-renowned myrmecologist and expert in the intraspecific structures and social organization of ants. Covering 600 hectares of forest with a lone old hut, the reserve became the testing ground for this innovative endeavor. Dr. Zakharov, known for his insightful perspective on wildlife, once remarked in an interview, "It's only among ants that everyone is smart, and in the world of people, the number of idiots is spread over the planet absolutely evenly. When you deal with wildlife, you make sure of it at every step, and there is no need to suffer from delusions of grandeur that our country is something particularly outstanding here. Well, if you think about it, the hut in our reserve is old. I'm ready to sit in a dugout to mess with ants, not people." Assistance in conducting the experiment was graciously provided by Professor Gennady Dlusky, a distinguished myrmecologist and doctor of biological sciences. Proficient in paleontology, phylogeny, and taxonomy of ants, he played a pivotal role in facilitating the success of the ambitious project. Stage 1. Infection. The intricate social structure of ants positions them as Earth's creatures most closely resembling humans. Ongoing revelations in myrmecology, the scientific study of ants, consistently underscore this parallel. Presented before us is a thriving nest of redwood ants, Formica rufa, exhibiting the distinct features of a domed anthill. Its upper layer comprises a 10-centimeter amalgamation of sticks, needles, dry leaves, and pebbles, regularly mixed to prevent rot and maintain a form of forced ventilation. This anthill stands at an impressive height of 56 centimeters, with a diameter of 98 centimeters and 11 noticeable holes. The estimated population of this anthill reaches around 10,000 individuals. Beneath the dome, chambers housing eggs, larvae, and pupae are found, while deeper within lie decayed stumps or large branches. Communicating chambers at a depth of up to 1.5 meters connect the anthill's subterranean sections, hosting a queen in one of them. The anthill operates under a meticulous hierarchy with clearly defined roles. The queen, responsible for egg-laying, exercises control over the nest. Worker ants, also females, abstain from reproducing as long as the queen is alive. The queen's lifespan extends from 15 to 20 years, while a worker ant's life is limited to approximately 7 years. Males, living only a single season, play no active role in the anthill's life and perish post-mating. A close-knit group of 10 to 12 worker ants surrounds the queen, tending to her needs by licking and feeding. Typically composed of younger ants, this group undergoes a month-long stage of caring for either the queen or the larvae, marking an essential aspect of their social service. Subsequently, they relocate to the outer reaches of the anthill's patrol zone, spanning a radius of 5 to 6 meters, to engage in foraging for food. The ant retrieves the discovered food, passing it up through the ranks before distribution throughout the anthill occurs. Notably, the anthill sustains itself with a unique pheromone, secreted by the queen, which conveys crucial information about her health and the nest condition. This substance is licked off by the ants, transferred to a specialized goiter, and shared in a chain-like fashion among all members of the ant society. In this way, a unified information space envelopes the entire ant community. In Anthill Unveiled, a cross-sectional view. Within the intricate world of a red forest ant family, a typical anthill unfolds, showcasing a complex multi-chambered structure meticulously erected on an aged stump. Home to up to 1.5 million ants, this architectural marvel serves as their residence and functional hub. Covering with needles and twigs. A protective layer fashioned from needles and twigs shields the anthill from the whims of weather. This outer armor is diligently maintained, repaired, and updated by the industrious worker ants. Solarium. Bathed in the warmth of the sun's rays, the solarium chamber becomes a bustling retreat for residents seeking to bask and warm up, particularly during the rejuvenating days of spring. Entrance sentry. Guarded by diligent soldiers, one of the entrances doubles as a vital ventilation channel, ensuring a steady flow of fresh air through the anthill's chambers. Cemetery. Designated as the final resting place, the cemetery is where dutiful worker ants carry deceased relatives and dispose of unwanted debris, maintaining cleanliness within their abode. Wintering chamber. A refuge for insects during the harsh cold, the wintering chamber allows inhabitants to endure the chill in a state of semi-hibernation, ensuring survival through adverse weather conditions. Bread pantry. Serving as a food repository, this chamber is dedicated to storing grains, an essential part of the ant diet meticulously organized by the colony. Royal chamber. The regal abode where the queen resides, laying an astonishing 1,500 eggs daily. This prolific mother is dutifully attended to by worker ants, ensuring the continuous propagation of the ant colony. Chambers with eggs, larvae, and pupae. Essential sectors dedicated to the various stages of ant development, from eggs to larvae and pupae, showcasing the intricate life cycle within the anthill. Cowyard. Functioning as a unique section within the anthill, the cowyard is where ants cultivate and maintain aphids, a symbiotic relationship benefiting both parties. Meat pantry. An area designated for the storage of captured prey, such as caterpillars, brought in by diligent foragers. This pantry ensures a steady supply of sustenance for the thriving ant community. The anthill operates under a distinctive system of punishments, as evidenced by the intriguing behaviors of its inhabitants. For instance, when a diligent forager ant consistently returns empty-handed, it faces a unique form of consequence. It is effectively executed, meeting its demise and released to fend for itself in the pursuit of sustenance. Remarkably, ants adopt a contrasting approach when dealing with individuals incapacitated due to mutilation, demonstrating a form of social protection. In such cases, these incapacitated ants are nurtured until they regain the ability to solicit food, a process involving tapping antennae on specific areas of a healthy ant's head. While ants are inherently active predators, they also engage in a form of animal husbandry by tending to cattle in the form of aphids. In this symbiotic relationship, ants not only consume the aphids but also harvest their secretions. This mutually beneficial interaction prevents the aphids from perishing prematurely, as they require the care provided by the ants. The ants feed aphids on nearby plants, safeguarding and ensuring their well-being. When prompted, the aphids willingly release excess nectar to the ants, a process facilitated by the ants gently tickling the aphid's abdomen with their antennae. Under normal circumstances, an anthill can endure indefinitely without external threats. However, a potential menace arises when a small light brown bug, known as Lomechusa, infiltrates the anthill. This intruder targets the chamber's storing ant offspring, laying its eggs therein. In response to the nest's attempts to confront this intruder, Lomechusa releases a unique substance. Ants, upon contact with this substance, enter a state of euphoria, momentarily stepping aside and becoming subdued. This marks the inception of the demise of the anthill under the influence of Lomechusa's insidious actions. Stage 2. The intruder within. Lomechusa, aptly termed a drag dealer beetle, or drug dealer, infiltrates our anthill, representing a member of the Myrmecophile group, an assortment of 266 species encompassing insects and other invertebrates cohabitating with ants. Within this diverse community, some function as parasites. Notably, during the observation of food transfer between ants, a peculiar scene unfolds. Myrmecophiles attach themselves both above and below an ant, collectively securing their share. While these nestlings typically engage in either mutualistic relationships, symbiosis, or inflict harm without jeopardizing the entire nest, Lomechusa proves to be a dire exception. First meticulously described by the German researcher Wassmann in 1897, Lomechusa is a diminutive bug, approximately 3 times smaller than a red forest ant. Typically gaining access to the anthill through the air, it navigates through one of the entrance holes without hindrance from the ants. The fascination begins swiftly, as the narcotic substance it secretes captivates the ants. Entranced, the ants promptly commence feeding the intruder as the beetle adeptly requests sustenance in an ant-like manner, tapping its antennae on specific areas of their heads. Occasionally, Lomechusa infiltrates an anthill from a neighboring nest with an established relationship, thereby facilitating infection along established exchange routes. Ants willingly share these drag dealer bugs, transporting them on their abdomens. This same mode of transport is employed as ants carry Lomechusa, branching off from their anthill to establish new families. Lomechusa, the intriguing world of the drug dealer beetle. Lomechusa undergoes a developmental process akin to ants, progressing through the stages of egg, larva, pupa, and eventually emerging as an adult insect. The female drag dealer beetle strategically places 100 to 200 eggs in close proximity to anthills, indistinguishable from the surroundings. Upon hatching, a distinctive feature becomes apparent in the concave abdomen of the Lomechusa larva. Nevertheless, at this juncture, the larva exhibits the ability to solicit food and begins secreting a substance that entices the ants. Despite recognizing the intruder, the ants instinctively care for the Lomechusa larva as if it were one of their own. The adult beetles seamlessly coexist within the anthill, residing there and gradually drawing upon the anthill's resources for sustenance. This intricate process unfolds beneath the anthill's dome, concealed from casual observation. Distinguishing an anthill affected by Lomechusa from a healthy one becomes feasible primarily in sunny weather, when the nest's inhabitants emerge onto the dome's surface to bask in the sunlight. However, their exposure is fleeting, as the ants promptly usher the lomus back beneath the dome. In this stage, the ants, unaware of the impending threat, continue to believe they retain control over the anthill.